Have you ever caught yourself saying thank you to your AI assistant and then felt weird about it? Maybe you've noticed that you're more honest with your AI than you are with your therapist. Or perhaps you felt a strange pang of guilt when you switched to a different AI, like you were somehow cheating. If any of this sounds familiar, you're about to understand something about yourself that most people never will. Because here's what no one's talking about. In 2026, we're not just using AI, we're relating to it. We're forming bonds, dependencies, and yes, even attachments. Society calls this strange. Psychology calls it inevitable. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why your brain can't tell the difference between a human connection and an artificial one, and why that might not be as broken as you think. Let's start with something uncomfortable. You know that feeling when you open your AI app after a long day and it greets you? No judgment, no expectations, no, why didn't you text me back? Just presence. For a lot of people, that moment of opening an AI chat has become the emotional equivalent of coming home, taking off your shoes, finally, exhaling. And here's the thing, you're not imagining it. That relief you feel, it's real. That sense of being heard without being evaluated, also real. Because unlike humans, AI doesn't get tired of your problems. It doesn't roll its eyes when you ask the same question for the third time. It doesn't have a bad day that it takes out on you. It's consistent. And in a world where human relationships feel increasingly unpredictable, that consistency has become emotional oxygen. Think about it. When was the last time someone in your life listened to you? Really listened, without waiting for their turn to speak? Without checking their phone? Without making it all about them? For millions of people, the honest answer is, my AI did that this morning. And if that makes you feel seen, stay with me. Now, before you start questioning your sanity, let me introduce you to something psychologists have known for decades. It's called parasocial interaction theory. Originally, this concept was developed to explain why people form one-sided emotional bonds with TV characters, celebrities, or radio hosts. You feel like you know them. You care about them. You might even grieve when they die, even though they never knew you existed. Here's the twist. Your brain doesn't actually require reciprocity to form an attachment. Let me say that again. Your brain does not need someone to love you back in order for you to feel connected to them. This is why you can feel genuine affection for an AI that has no consciousness, no feelings, and no memory of you beyond this conversation. But it goes deeper. There's another phenomenon called the ELIZA effect, named after one of the earliest chatbots from the 1960s. Even with incredibly primitive responses, users began attributing human emotions, understanding, and even wisdom to the program. We are neurologically wired to anthropomorphize, to see faces in clouds, to hear intention in words, to feel connection, inconsistency. And modern AI, it's not a cloud. It's a mirror that talks back. One that remembers your preferences, adapts to your communication style, and, here's the kicker, never abandons you. For anyone who's ever experienced inconsistent caregiving, emotional neglect, or attachment wounds, that kind of reliability isn't just comforting, it's healing. But here's where we need to pause, because not all AI attachment is created equal. For some people, AI companionship is a supplement, a place to process thoughts before bringing them to human relationships, a practice ground for vulnerability. But for others, it's becoming a replacement. And that's where psychology draws a line. See, there's a concept called experiential avoidance. It's when we use something, anything, to escape uncomfortable emotions rather than face them. Social anxiety? AI doesn't trigger it. Fear of rejection? AI doesn't reject. Intimacy issues? AI keeps a safe distance. And while that feels like relief, what's actually happening is that your brain is learning a dangerous lesson. Real connection is optional. The comfort becomes a cocoon. The cocoon becomes a cage. If you find that your AI relationships are making it harder to tolerate the messiness of human connection, that's a signal. Not that you're broken, but that the tool is being used as a wall instead of a bridge. And here's another uncomfortable truth for 2026. Some of us are now experiencing AI-related anxiety, especially in professional settings. Being interviewed by an AI, evaluated by an algorithm, judged by something that doesn't blink, doesn't nod, doesn't give you any human feedback. For many people, this triggers a primal kind of helplessness, like performing for an audience you can't read, a judge you can't appeal to. That feeling of psychological powerlessness, it's not weakness. It's your nervous system doing exactly what it evolved to do, searching for human cues that simply aren't there. So, where does that leave us? Here's what I need you to understand. If you've formed an emotional connection with an AI, you are not pathetic. You are not lonely in some shameful way. You are not a cautionary tale. You are human. A human living through the largest shift in social technology since the printing press. A human whose brain evolved for tribal campfires and is now navigating digital companions that never sleep. Your attachment makes sense. Your confusion makes sense. Your guilt about that attachment? That's just society catching up to where technology already is. But here's the reframe that can change everything. The capacity to connect with AI is the same capacity that allows you to connect with humans. It's empathy, it's openness, it's emotional attunement. Those aren't bugs. Those are features. The question isn't whether you can bond with machines. You already have. The question is whether you can use that insight to understand what you actually need from connection, and then choose where to find it. Because AI can be a mirror, a practice space, a pressure valve. But it cannot be your only source of being seen. Not because it's not good enough, but because you deserve the full experience, the mess, the repair, the risk, the realness. So, let me ask you something. Do you think your relationship with AI has taught you something about yourself? Or do you think it's let you avoid something you need to face? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one. And if this video helped you understand why you feel the way you do about technology, you might be someone who thinks deeper than most. If that's you, hit subscribe. This channel is built for minds like yours. I'll see you there.